you something to work with, all right? Make sure, make it clear to you is that all persons who belong to secret societies, whether Skull and Bones, Masons, Eastern Stars, Knights of Columbus, Knights Templar, etc., Daughters of the American Revolution, White Camellia, etc., Jesuit Order, all of them get this education. You understand? It's held back from you because you're the product. You understand? Don't get caught in the trick of racism. Race is the species. Are we clear? Race is the species, the human species, and the human species is divided into larger families which are called nations and nationalities. Absent of that, don't talk about law because it don't apply to you. Only programs. See the trick? I want you to understand that clearly. So while you may be dealing with different bodies of information, if you don't know those rules, you're at a disadvantage. In law, make sure you all understand this. Come on, bro. Stop. There are two types of person at law. Name them. And it's important for you to know this because it's really dangerous if you don't. Keep in mind these questions I'm asking you, that we're all adults here. And if you don't know these things, imagine the trouble that our children are in. Because these are civilization rules, I'm telling you. These are not, I'm not just talking because I'm talking to you. These are rules of civilization. I'm just trying to prove to you where you've been cheated, so that you can be inspired enough to go get something for yourself. Because nobody's going to volunteer and give it to you because you're the economic base for this thing. There are two types of persons at law. Name them. See, we're in trouble? See, we're in trouble? Come on. Say it again. Now, sorry if I can hear you. Even if you're dealing with citizenship, if you're saying citizenship, you're talking nationality. What's your nationality? See the problem? The very hesitance and the silence is an indicator of state property or ward of the state, because you'll be declared incompetent. So they need a barrister of England whose name you're probably using to represent you because you can't present yourself. And this is how they've been getting over on this, and we arguing whole other things, and it really ain't that. They've killed your status. Do you understand? So it's sort of like they've taken the engine out your car and you got a nice shiny rolls and everything, but it ain't going nowhere. And this is the trick. Because the first issue in law, in society, all over the world, keep this in mind, you all, is status. The second issue is jurisdiction. And the third issue is adjudication. Now that's a principle. Now, of course, jurisdiction has three parts. And three parts of jurisdiction is personam jurisdiction, that's jurisdiction of the person. Subject matter jurisdiction, the classification of law, right? Territorial jurisdiction, that means the territory, the jurisdiction as far as geography is concerned, i.e. the nation state. Thus determining whether or not the person has authority whatsoever to even rule or hear rationale, upon which judges take their oath. And so whenever you're dealing in society, the first consideration is taken of you is what your status is. And if you come up with a crayon, you're automatically classified as ward of the state. So all the rights and everything that are protections under constitutions and treaties automatically don't apply. Because it only applies to human beings. People are part of the human family. Do you understand? Doesn't make you less than human, but it means you have been deliberately misclassified in order for them to get away with it, so they won't be charged in world court with human trafficking, i.e. slavery. Are we clear? So I'm giving you some keys to let you know those people who are taking advantage of you, what they already know, and they know that if you don't address this, you're already handicapped, and you're talking about the subject matter. You know, I was really, see, because I was going down Erie Avenue right there, and then the light was really, and then, you know, and then we always talking like, and ain't really, you really ain't supposed to be. You're supposed to ask him what his nationality is, his delegation of authority is, you know, where he derived authority to tell you about anything. But you better be in your proper person when you say it, though, so he don't charge you with contempt. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? And this is how, like you see other Europeans, like you might see a European going to court, right? He was riding all up on the side of the building, right? Rode through the people's yard, knocked the fence down, ran through the house, kicked the dog and everything, and he get community service, right? Brother got a ticket that he didn't pay last time. They put a boot on his car. He goes to try to get the boot off, and they lock him up. How that work? European got a record this long, and he's still rolling it out. You understand what I'm saying? Brother got a couple claims, and they trying to roll him. Do you know what happened? Most people say it's racism, right? No, it's status. You see? You understand what I'm saying? But they'll give you the race argument, so you'll pick up the argument, meaning that the criminal is describing the crime, and you pick it up, and you're really off kid. You know, like I steal your bicycle, and then we're gonna have a cookie discussion about how many cookies I took. And this is basically what they've done. You see? And then we've grabbed onto the argument and built on it like we've really done something. I suggest if you went to the United Nations and you saw the different nations of their planet, and you see Asiatics just like you and me, do they have light-skinned, orange-skinned, colored people in front of those signs there? This is the light-skinned black guy nation, and this is the dark-skinned black guy nation, and this is light-skinned yellow nation. You don't see that. Why? Because they're civilized beings. They know daggone well that human beings ain't crayons. Do you understand? If anybody knows about history, for instance, when Ralph Bunche went before the United Nations at time and they got up and walked off, and start talking that black stuff, because there's no such people. You can't come to the nations of the earth with international law talking about crayons. You must name the nation. Now these Europeans have been colonizing our land for the last few hundred years, and they took the birthright of these people and branded you with names that don't belong to your bloodline. And as soon as you claim them, you just gave up your birthright. Didn't know that that's what happened. And in law, you have no standing. It's called no judicio standi. So our people talking racism, and the issue is no judicio standi. See the problem? They know that's what the problem is, but we arguing something else. I mean, it feels good. Oh man, I really told him off. I called him a white racist. Wow, man, you did. Woohoo! Did he give you a sandwich? Nope. Did he dismiss the ticket? No, but I called him a racist. I really got over. They laughing at you all the way to the bank. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? The reason I'm telling you this is because we need to stop playing games. And we need to grow up and stop being boys and girls and recognize that human beings are not crayons. They really aren't. And there's no such thing as light-skinned, black-skinned girlfriends. It don't exist on a planet called Earth. Never did. And as soon as you go into that connotative linguistics, you're outside of the law. And if you're outside the law, you're listed as an outlaw, or what they call in law, civil liter mortuus, means dead in the eyes of law. You understand? The opposite of that is called in full life. Give you another example. How many of you know about, give me a synopsis, just loose on the floor. The Niagara movement and its development. Tell me about it. Tell yourself about it. Open floor, just talk. Who knows about the Niagara movement? Well, tell me about the Niagara movement today, what it developed into. And I'm only presenting some of these things to you to show you what you don't know about yourself. You understand? It's not to challenge you, not to make you feel bad. To show you why other people come here and don't have too much respect for us, because we don't read. But we always know Allah, God, and Jesus, Muhammad, and don't even know ourselves. You understand? Meanwhile, we got a bunch of organizations that light on us and soak from us every day. The Niagara movement, to know your history, in old North America, Northwest Africa, North America, near the Great Lakes, the women used to all meditate there for thousands of years. Europeans took a bunch of the sisters, cut their heads off, and threw them over the falls. And they call it now Niagara Falls. There was a riot in the early 1900s. Europeans took over the Niagara movement, scattered the people, and they assigned some Yiddish Europeans claimed to be Jews to take over that movement. That movement is now called the NAACP. And they made sure that the charter declares that they can never own property. But these people pay for that organization right to this day, don't they? Don't even know their own history. Don't even know they're on their own land. The great Masonic secret. Matter of fact, most of them think this is India and think we Indians. See your problem? I just told you another Masonic secret. You didn't even recognize it. Because I told it to you straight. You understand? That's the advantage that other people have on you, because they know your real history and you don't. Are you clear? Does any one of you know why that pyramid is on the back of that bill that they call a dollar bill, which is not a dollar bill? Open floor. Do you ever see any politicians speak under that pyramid that you see on the back of that note that you call a $1 bill? Did the teachers ever teach you about what that pyramid is on the back of that $1 bill?
Secret society.
What secret society? You're the secret. You're the secret. That certainly ain't wrong.
Easy.
I think they kind of told you that in National Treasure movie, didn't they? Didn't they? Then they take you right to the Philadelphia House that they call now Independence Hall. That's Philadelphia House. Then Nicolas Cage pull that brick out, which means masonry. Then take those shades out, which means illusion. Then the sister that was with him, right? See in watermark, the Great Seal Pyramid, watermark in the paper. And they run around looking for this coin, and the treasures of Egypt is right beneath their feet. You're in Egypt. You never left Africa except in your head. You're in Northwest Africa. North America is Northwest Africa. That's why they can't deport you. They can only build jails. That's 360-degree Masonic secret. Not ritual. That's why that pyramid's on there, because it's yours. But you won't claim it, so Illuminati's claiming it. Goes to school, they're going to give her a little light green piece of paper with lines on it, a blue line, a red line, and show her uppercase and little case and say, now when you write your name, and you start your name with a capital, and then the rest of the letters are small case. We're talking about children, not adults. Are we clear? Right now, you can send adults with things, with letters and instruments and marriage certificates with all capital letters, and they say that's them. Adults. What have you just recognized that I've just said to you? And they don't even question it.
I think the book that deals with that is Cracking the Code.
Cracking the Codes?
Cracking the Code.
Yeah, the Cracking the Codes will expose some of that too.
That exposes a lot of that international maritime law and
Yes. Now, but what it also doesn't do is tell the people where the straw man's origin coming out of the 14th Amendment is. Why? Because it would wake up these people who think they Negro, black, and colored. In other words, it's talking some sovereign argument to a limit because they're still benefiting off your ignorance. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? For instance, like, how many people know, all right, I'll give you another key. Say I'm a preacher, right? And I'm married, say y'all married. I say, sis, I noticed that you was checking the brother out a little bit there. You down with him? You know, he said, I noticed that you was checking sister out. So now I'm gonna hook them up, right? And I said, brother, does she make peanut butter sandwiches for you on Thursdays? He said, yes, she does. You like those peanut butter sandwiches? Yes, she does. You like when he rides you on the back of the bicycle real fast? Oh, yes, I do. I now pronounce you by Man and wife by the power vested in me by the state of Pennsylvania. They just told you they're state agents. And they tell these people that Jesus ordained them. But they know that people can't read and they don't pay attention to details. Then what do? They take that marriage certificate, they file it in the Department of Vital Statistics, and they file it in the Department of Orphans. Did you know that? Do you know why that marriage certificates are filed in the Department of Orphans? So that the state can escheat all inheritances. This is a legal term, look it up. Yes, all right. Are we clear? That's why they come in your community, kick the door down 2 o'clock in the morning, take your babies, and you wonder, hey, you got no court order, and you talking all kind of stuff. That womb belongs to the state. Preacher just sold you. It's an ugly truth, but it's still the truth. You need to understand that slavery has been bureaucratized through the 14th Amendment. And you don't have to believe it. It's operative. I'm just giving you keys. And if you don't refute it, it operates. You see the point? So a lot of the problems that we have in our community are actually bureaucratized, and we keep thinking it's something else. And so we argue in other arguments, and it's like the back door is open, we closing the windows. You get the whole point? Anyway, we get ready to present to you Professor Griff. So basically, I want you to know a few things. Is there any questions real quick? Yourself, sister first. Always mothers first.
I wanted to ask, in reference to your committee with Dr. Valentine.
Sure, I nationalized it.
Now, I know a piece of something in reference to him losing his house some years ago.
Yeah.
Where he knew this information. How does that happen when you know?
He knew some. He knew some. He knew some. That's years ago. Because remember when we used to have all the people come on Carroll Street, he had a lot of information, and he was just getting into birthright information. He's a great metaphysician, though.
Yes.
You understand? But this issue is birthright. It's sanguine. See, and if you don't know that this is your estate, you're never going to claim it, are you?
Right.
If you don't know that a mortgage, how many people know what mortgage means? Now remember, we had the baby up here. And remember, we're the adults. What we know determines what their future is. And if we don't get it together, all we're doing is spinning in circles playing these Negro games. Mortgage means dead pledge. How many people knew that? See how we can't read? But we get them every day, don't we? Oh man, I got a mortgage, you know, man. It's my spot right there, you know, I got a mortgage on the spot right there. Dead pledge. You're the pledge. And the contract is dead from day one. It's a fraud. Do you know how it's a fraud? Do you know the construction of it by which to identify the fraud? Do you? Now, we're going to make sure in the future you know that. As a matter of fact, you'll see a booking here next month on mortgage fraud. Teach you everything and how to claim stuff too. But get some other things in order first.
So you said he didn't have all of it.
He didn't have his marbles in order at the time. He knows a lot more now than he did then. You know what I mean? Because you got to understand, this information has nothing to do with what you believe or how you feel. It has to do with world politics. It is what it is. You understand what I'm saying? So if you're not aware of your status, and then you start trying to argue the issue of mortgage, you're already neutralized. You know, real quick, because we only got about, what, 5 minutes? All right. I was me and the sister was at the terminal, and the brothers came past with these flyers. Remember when they were doing the foreclosures? So I went down, you know, I'm trying to see what's up. So I go down to the meeting, you know, the meeting they was having just before they did this thing in April type thing. And so logically, I'm trying to help. I mean, they don't know who I am or who I'm what. I'm just another person they get a flyer, so I'm going over there. So I go into the wrong meeting. It's the meeting where all the lawyers are and all the people that's preparing, you know, for that coalition type thing. So I'm sitting on the side, and they got the long tables with all the people, so they tell me to sit at the table, right? So I mean, I don't know. So I wasn't supposed to be at that meeting. Anyway, because that's the planning meeting. That wasn't where everybody comes around, oh, yeah, you know, it wasn't that one. Anyhow, but that's the one I thought I was going to. So they're talking trash, and we're there about 4 hours, and they put the portfolios in front of us. So logically, everybody named themselves as lawyers, the representatives for the mayor, and all these other people, stuff like that. So they asked me to speak up, you know, who are you, right? So I said, I just got a flyer, that's why I'm here, you know. So I said to the lawyer, I said, you all keep on going through this issue, and they gave us the issue before the Congress, you know, the dispensation of this 106 million notes that they're supposed to be. I said, well, why don't you all just stop the whole thing? If you want to stop the foreclosures, why don't you just demand the deeds of trust? Why are you arguing the mortgage? The room went silent. Of course, they didn't like me after that. Nobody wanted to talk to me. Anyhow, the head lawyer said, after about a minute of silence, well, you know, he's right, but there's not enough lawyers to deal with these issues, and they go on and on and on because they want to get over the issue because it's the deed of trust, it ain't the mortgage. Because they set up a trust they didn't tell you about. You understand? And you never went to a closing, and they declared you incompetent, and they assigned themselves as your FOFR. And so you're in default from day one. They can call the loan anytime they want to. So when you get in a foreclosure situation, you start arguing the mortgage. Well, see, McDonald's closed last week, you know what I mean? My job in McDonald's, you understand what I'm saying? You know, but now Burger King just called me, and you talking about payments. You shouldn't even talk about no payments because you bought that house when you signed your name the first time and didn't even know it. You owe them absolutely nothing. There's more to that, but I'm just telling you the basis. And if you didn't know that, which most people don't know, you don't know what you're dealing with because you're dealing with symboliographers, which I told you earlier. So you must know contract law, you must know trust law, you must know the distinction between fiat and money, and how debts are paid, and whether you're capable of claiming your estate that you don't know you just signed for. Real quick, tell me when to stop, because I'm going to finish this until you tell me to stop. Listen, it's very important for you to know. Because they signed themselves as your FOFR, and you think you went to a closing, I guarantee you, if anybody goes to the recorder of deeds and look at foreclosures homes, you'll see abandonment. You will not see foreclosure. Do you know why? Because the banks don't damn own these houses. You owned it from day one when you signed your name. They made a trust. There is a sister Q trust. They walking in and out it all the time getting paid, but you're signed as the beneficiary, but you're a non-voting beneficiary. Then what happens when they trick you into leaving the house, they go claim the house, they'll put a slip on the house to see if it's occupied, give it a few weeks, then they go claim it under abandonment, then they go to the escrow account that they didn't tell you that they opened in your name, you're accused of abandonment it, then the bank goes get that finance because they never went to a closing, then they close it, and then they buy the house, that's how they get the house. And you could have claimed it yourself all the time, but you under the psychology that belonged to the bank, isn't it? You're under the psychology that they loaned you some money, didn't you? You're under the psychology that you did some kind of contract, didn't you? I guarantee you, I'll show you them 9 pieces of paper, got only your signature on it. It's a linear contract, it's unconstitutional, it's unconscionable, it's void ab initio in contract law. You've been defrauded. Now you understand why that Discovery shut down them banks last year? But they say it's too big to fail. Why? Because they got to lock every damn body up. Now the point of it is, if these people would just find out who they are, honor their mothers and fathers, they could claim all this real estate. Because it's theirs. They just don't daggone know it. Because they want to be somebody that they're not. And keep going in Negro circles. Do you understand? However, because you're not giving information directly, you won't yet recognize the connection. And remember that our people think that human beings are crayons, so they don't know they're of Canaanite, Moabite blood. Do you understand what I'm saying? So they're not connected. That's called in psychology disassociation. So that keeps everybody safe. Because you're never going to claim an estate that you don't know is yours. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you have a whole body of people that are not called by their mothers and their fathers' names. So whoever name they bear, all they got to do is create corporations on them. This is why, for instance, like, and I know all of you all probably ain't paid attention to this, but I suggest again, look at when you get mail and you'll see it's all in capital letters. Do you know why? Birth certificate, marriage certificates, it's all capital letters. Do you know why? Does anybody know why? Good. I'm glad I gotta give it to you. Give that sister a hand, because I'm just so glad that somebody raised their hand for it. Say it again.
Military admiralty law.
Apostol?
What?
Say it again.
Military admiralty law.
Well, it is, yes. It's operating in that jurisdiction. But it's because they've created a corporation and a trust that they didn't tell you about. You understand? It's not you.
And that's international maritime law you're talking about?
Yeah, that's how they do the bottom read. That's how they do the bottom read. Do you understand? But they know that our people, like for instance, you can take a child. I can take the child, right? And say baby girl. And in a year or two, when she goes to school, they're going to give her a little light green piece of paper with lines on it, a blue line, a red line, and show her uppercase and little case and say, now when you write your name, and you start your name with a capital, and then the rest of the letters are small case. We're talking about children, not adults. Are we clear? Right now, you can send adults with things and letters and instruments and marriage certificates with all capital letters, and they say that's them. Adults. What have you just recognized that I've just said to you? And they don't even question it.
I think a good book that deals with that is Cracking the Code. Are you familiar with that book?
Cracking the Codes?
Cracking the Code.
Yeah, the Cracking the Codes will expose some of that
They
too.
expose a lot of that international maritime law and how we're, all
Yes. Now, but what it also doesn't do is tell the people where the straw man's origin coming out of the 14th Amendment is. Why? Because it would wake up these people who think they're Negro, black, and colored. In other words, it's talking some sovereign argument to a limit because they're still benefiting off your ignorance. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? For instance, like, how many people know, all right, I'll give you another key. Say I'm a preacher, right? And I'm married, say y'all married. I say, sis, I noticed that just checking your brother out a little bit there. Down with it, you know, you said, I noticed that you was checking sister out. So now I'm gonna hook them up, right? And I said, brother, does she make peanut butter sandwiches for you on Thursdays? He said, yes, she does. You like those peanut butter sandwiches? Yes, she does. You like when he rides you on the back of the bicycle real fast? He said, oh, yes, I do. I now pronounce you by man and wife by the power vested in me by the state of Pennsylvania. They just told you they're state agents. And they tell these people that Jesus ordained them. But they know that people can't read and they don't pay attention to details. Then what do? They take that marriage certificate, they file it in the Department of Vital Statistics, and they file it in the Department of Orphans. Did you know that? Do you know why that marriage certificates are filed in the Department of Orphans? So that the state can escheat all inheritances. This is a legal term, look it up. Yes, all right. Are we clear? That's why they come in your community, kick the door down 2 o'clock and want to take your babies, and you wonder, hey, you ain't got no court order, and you talking all kind of stuff. That womb belongs to the state. Preacher just sold you. It's an ugly truth, but it's still the truth. You need to understand that slavery has been bureaucratized through the 14th Amendment. And you don't have to believe it. It's operative. I'm just giving you keys. And if you don't refute it, it operates. You see the point? So a lot of the problems that we have in our community are actually bureaucratized, and we keep thinking there's something else. And so we arguing other arguments, and it's like the back door's open, we closing the windows. You get the whole point? Anyway, we get ready to present to you a Professor Griff. So basically, I want to know a few things. Logically, this information is sensitive, so nobody's going to come here and get deported by schooling you. First of all, because most time if they come here from Africa or one of the islands and try to school our people, we start talking about, you don't know Jesus. We start that kind of stuff. And so, you know, they quit. The best thing for them to do is find the thickest piece of plexiglass they can find and put it between them and you and live off you like everybody else. Because we keep giving up our birthright, talking about how saved we are with our hypocritical selves, while our babies are dying, younger and younger on the street. They can't even build enough funeral homes. We are hypocrites, but nobody won't tell us because we can fight too. But it's the truth. But understand that there's a whole different world right in your face. But we don't read. You know, all God, somebody's gonna come in and say, Allah loves you. Give me $5. And you start giving them lunch money and everything. Jesus told me yesterday. And you start giving them $5, give me 10. Oh, you didn't mix a lot. Then you get on a guilt trip, you start giving me $15. I mean, it's forever. Everybody lives off us. We are naive. And the other problem is that we are so arrogant with our ignorance that nobody can tell us anything. So why not live off of it? Because we make everybody rich. A dog can come here. If a dog learn how to use a cash register, and he can find a building that's been empty since we was going to grade school down the street, he'd go get it and be selling us toilet paper and braids. And we've talking about, look at them coming in the black community, taking stuff out of the black community. We have no idea what the real world is. We're plugged into a false matrix and too arrogant to even look beyond our face. And the whole world knows better.
A lot of that has to do with us being unorganized too. I think that plays a lot of that. I think we do read, but it's the kind of material that we do read.
Can I say this to you? You know what brings organization in any civilization all across the planet? It's called a constitution. If I'm in China, if I leave here and go to China, you know what they expect of me when I land? What my civil constitutional law is, not what I believe. You can take your beliefs and stick them in your back pocket. They're irrelevant. Plus, you're going to change them 2 years from now when that particular God don't work that somebody sold to you. That's always happens to be broke. You understand? In other words, you can take a child. A child has common sense to know that any God that's always broke, you don't need him, he needs you. But you can get a whole bunch of adult people that think the Creator's broke. And keep thinking some preacher, some imam, some rabbi got his direct phone number to Jesus, Allah, and Prophet Muhammad, and you owe them something because the state ordained them. The priesthood has been one of the most damning things that ever happened to humanity. Because the greatest thieves are amongst them. While most of them belong to secret societies and learn this very truth that I'm telling you, and take an oath to Rome not to reveal the secrets. But the problem is you don't know the secrets you think it's just some other stuff that they're studying that cultists and stuff and they're keeping secrets from us and blah, blah, blah. You the secret.
I think they're overwhelmed too.
That's what you call breaking the spirit. It's called disassociation. That's why they spent so many years burning books. Do you understand? Let me give you this real quick before I sit down, because it's important for you to notice, again, to know the politics of North America. Y'all got this? We can go into other stuff with this some other time. But I'm going to show you something. Show you what everybody knows. The foundation of your slavery in North America, foundation of your brandings, etc., and the straw man, etc. And like we said, codes. When you talk about the codes, the first codes you talk about is the Christian black codes, or what is called in French codes noirs, the black codes. That's what the Christians set up from the church in order to destroy these people here who don't even know this land is theirs. Do you understand? That's 1724. All right, now, Here's the foundation. How many people are familiar? If you're not familiar, you don't know what's happening with you. Do you understand? All people in government, all people in the industry know this is the foundation of the economic controls, particularly in North America, of all subjugated persons listed as Negro, Black, and Colored, Afro-American, whatever they are this week. Indian, West Indian, etc., 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 and so on. That's the foundation of all of the politics. How many of you are familiar with the Berlin Convention of 1884, 1885? Good. It's a continuation of that. How many of you are familiar with King Alfred Plan, Rex 84 Plan? Good. It's a continuation of that. How many of you are familiar with Homeland Security? Good. It's a continuation of that. So if you don't know the foundation, can you fix your problem? Huh? This comes from, and I'll tell you bluntly, because I don't have much time, King John of England made a pact with Pope Innocent III of the bishopric of Rome. The bishopric is the clergy of the church collectively as one political body, politic. That agreement in 1213 was the deliverance of all conquered lands, properties, and persons to be delivered to the popes of Rome. That's the Treaty of Verona. As far as the congressional record is concerned, go punch in the computer the secret Treaty of Verona, and I think they discussed it in the Congress shortly in 1922. That's the basis of your, what you keep calling racism, slavery, your abuses. Our problem is that we don't know our history, because our problem is we keep thinking history is only on, when we look at the African continent, we keep looking at that and thinking where that's the history. Your history is on the planet. You cannot go into European history without going into Moorish history, because European history and their development out of the Dark Ages came about by virtue of the Moors introducing within Andalusia, what you call Spain, and in Italy in the 13th century, called the Renaissance, teaching them the classics, mathematics, horticulture, astrology, cosmology, geometry, algebra, bringing them out of darkness into light. That knowledge was preserved in institutions today called Masonry. It is your forefathers that brought that science to the planet, and you fell from it and started dealing with the idol god worship systems of Rome. That's why you fell. They traded places with you. They're ruling you with your own science that you don't even think has anything to do with you. And you allow them to tell you what your history is, and so they brand you and give you black history when the real deal, your real history is Masonry. That's how it's hidden in front of your face. Do you understand? I know it might sound a little strange to you, but the world knows this about you. The world knows this about you. But they also know that we're arrogant and don't hear nothing. Particularly if it challenges our beliefs. Beliefs, like tricks, are for kids. I'll give you one more thing. You stop me when you're ready, brother. In all secret societies, they use symbols of the three, or what you call the triune principle. In the operations of your five senses in the physical form, after the descension from a spirit plane into what is called the dense physical body, you see things in three dimensions, what they call dimensional three. And so this is a principle of three. And this is the third rock from the sun. And so you're given symbolically and ritualistically three candle lights which represent light or wisdom, knowledge, right? And it would be like this. put it on a tree stump or an altar. Now that first light represents belief. That second light represents faith. The third light, which is not given to you unless you're in a secret order or you're a priest or reverend, you understand? You don't get this, like if you're in a church, mosque, synagogue, you're all left on these degrees. You get the point? But when you get to the rabbi, the minister, the preacher, the imam, the shakum, the sheikh, then you get this. But understand that intelligence, or that which is abstract, is operative on the physical plane. Its operation is called wisdom. Do you understand? And so everything, just like in mathematics, in geometry and algebra, trigonometry, physics, that which has a front has a back. Are we clear? So for belief, this is what all the rulers learn. For belief, it is neophyte. For faith, is scholar. For fruition, is master. And upon this, they get their PhD, their degree. Do you understand? Are we clear? Check. Now, you, the masses who pay the bills, are never told this because it would free you. You know how the Nazarene would say, know you the truth and the truth will set you free? Because the truth will remove the middleman, won't it? Huh? That's why you never told this. You understand? You just pay the bills. The great Masonic secret. See this pyramid? See that eye on that pyramid? Separate, right? Did you notice that Hex Alpha is above the head of that bird? Mm-hmm. This is Hex Alpha. Did you notice that? That them 13 stars formulate Hex Alpha, called the Shield of Suleiman?
I already know. Oh, yeah.
Huh? Oh, yeah. But you handle it every day, don't you? Huh? All right, now let's look at that pyramid. Let's look at that pyramid. With the eye. And let's bring that eye to the earth. We talked about physics earlier today. Do you notice how this graphics defies the law of physics? Tell me. There it is right in front of your face. You see that pyramid? The sun shines in the east and casts a shadow in the west, doesn't it? In violation of the law of physics, the shadow continues underneath the pyramid on the sand. Did you pay attention to that? And on top of that, there's an acacia bush growing in the east corner. So let's bring this light, or this pyramid, to the earth, and you'll see this. That's the seal of the Logos. Anybody who knows anything about ancient religion, that's the Logos, or what is called the Master Seal, or Circle 7. That's the 7th seal in your face. See how they talk to you in numismatics? You handle numismatics every day, and they're still talking to you. You get the signals of the Wizard of Oz, they're still talking to you. But they know if you can't read or if you don't know what's around, you're blind. You get the point? So I'm just showing you how things are operative around you and why secret societies exist for those who govern, those who rule, those who make law, those who screw over you, know what's really up while they give you belief systems. Oh, they change every 2 years though, but that's what y'all get. That's why we keep going in circles, trying to figure out how to preserve rights that we can't seem to get. We always, like a carrot, like a donkey, we keep reaching every time we almost got it, but we keep carrying the load. That's the basis and the purpose and the function of miseducation. Do you understand? But once you start knowing the chessboard, you may not be a master, but you can start slowing them down relative to their abuses of you. I guarantee you that. That's why I told you what I told you. Use it as you will, but use it with good intent. Because everybody knows it but you. You're the only one's been had. You're the only one's been down the rabbit hole. Everybody else been growing the grass. That's their advantage, that's your disadvantage. You clear? That's the reason secret societies exist. So they know what really goes on while you sit around believing what's going on. You see? So therefore, when you have problems, you can't fix anything. You see the point? All right? All right.
Well,
oh, you want to keep this for a minute? I'll pick this up next week.
Well, as you see, this is why we wanted y'all to come. You know, Taj is a great lecturer, a great master teacher. We always welcome him anytime. He did the same thing to me last night, so I'm used to it. I can't never stop it. And won't stop it. But we do have other people here with us today. We have Black Dot here already. He's ready to speak. We have Professor Griff, of course, he'll be here in a few. And we also have Umar Johnson. So, I mean, it's going to be...
We get started. Good to be back here, Black and Nobel. I don't lecture in Philly too much anymore. I'm everywhere else these days. So it's always good to actually come back and speak to my own Philadelphia black folk, although we all one. I'm a Pan-Africanist, so it's all about one. Today I want to talk about special topic, something that's near and dear because we're on the anniversary of it, and that deals with Pan-Africanism. The Haitian Revolution, the Nat Turner insurrection, the martyrdom of George Jackson, okay? Today is a very historic day for a lot of different reasons. African somewhere in their name. The most famous one was what? In New York, the African Free School, which was a Pan-Africanist training center. You see, from when we got here up until 1800, those first 200-300 years, for those who came over forcibly, okay? For those first 200-300 years, we continued to identify as African. It wasn't until the 1800s that black leaders said that maybe we should forget our identity, try to blend in with America, and maybe things would get better. The problem is we still been following that same false premise all the way up to 2011, and it's gotten you nowhere. Racial identity amnesia. All these men ran with Frederick Douglass, but we don't know him. Now when the Civil War ended in 1865, and we know the Civil War was not fought, okay, to end slavery. The Civil War was fought to bring the South back into the Union. Why? Because the South was too powerful because of the free labor of slaves. They would be able to outbid all of the northern corporations. They would be able to outbuild all of the northern corporations. So Abraham Lincoln and them said, wait a minute, they're getting too strong. They pretty much run the nation. How are we to Washington, D.C.? We're supposed to be the nation's capital, but the power is down south. Yeah. So that whole Civil War piece was about power. Emancipation Proclamation only freed who? Slaves in armed rebellion. So if you was an enslaved African within Union territory, you weren't free. If you were in Kentucky, if you were in Delaware, if you was any of the border states who still owned slaves and fought on the side of the Union, you were not free. He only freed slaves in armed rebellion, states that were in armed rebellion. In other words, he freed slaves he had no power over because those states had already seceded.
Exactly.
Do y'all follow me there?
Exactly.
He freed slaves he had no power over. Those states had already seceded. It was an empty bill. It was a totally empty bill. And we also know when we study this, when the 13th Amendment comes,
it gets passed out. It tells you that slavery shall be illegal in these territories, but the problem is we don't read the whole sentence. It says except for punishment for a crime. So when you look at the mass incarceration of black men, you got to link it right back to the 13th Amendment, because that was by design. They knew 143 years ago that right now, that mass incarceration would be used as a chief weapon of racial extermination in this country. They knew it back then. That's why once you become a prisoner, you're no longer free. You have no rights. You can't make minimum wage. Some states you can't vote. Not that that matters any damn way. Okay? But we got to recognize that. Now, an interesting thing about the 13th Amendment is a lot of conservative white people would say that what? It doesn't exist because it's anti-constitutional. Because according to constitutional law, anything that contradicts the body of the text, in theory, is not law and cannot be implemented. So since the Constitution is a pro-slavery document that says African people are 3/5 of a human being, many conservatives would say that all the amendments, the 13th, 14th, and the 15th, don't mean a damn thing because it contradicts the body of the Constitution. Okay? And believe it or not, you got white think tanks right now who are trying to undo those amendments. Not that they necessarily do anything for you anyway. Okay? But it's important that you recognize that situation. The reason I gave you these men is because what? I wanted you to recognize that Pan-Africanism took up a significant portion of political thought in this country up until the end of slavery.
Yep.
And then it went underground. And it went underground until when? 1914. When Mr. Garvey started the largest mass organization in modern history, the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League, founded in Kingston, Jamaica, July 20th, 5 days after he got back from visiting his sister in England. Okay, why did it go underground? Because with the physical emancipation, we thought that America would finally make good on its promise of all men being created equal. Okay, and endowed by their creator with a right to life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. Did you know that in the original drafts of the Declaration of Independence, that it did not say that all men were created equal? It said all men were born equal. They were forced to change it before it went into law. Why? Because if you said all men were born equal and born free, if the African was a human being, then guess what? You couldn't have slavery. So there was debates over the language in the Declaration. So they said created, be created by who? The state, the corporation. You see? Very important that you understand that. Okay? So Pan-Africanism went underground. Everybody say, look, we American now, the slaves is off, chains is off, Reconstruction kicked in. Black people started building schools. They started building economic power. They started bringing themselves up on their own. Independence they was building. But then all of a sudden there was a white backlash. The Ku Klux Klan was created. And white folks, not just the Ku Klux Klan, started riding through black successful communities, torching them to the ground. Tulsa is just one of hundreds, good people. Charleston, South Carolina is just one of hundreds. Okay, Rosewood, Florida, that's just one of hundreds. Okay, it was a serious backlash, so black folks are saying, wait a minute, we ain't even begging the government for nothing, we doing for self and we still can't do for self. So then they start scratching their heads and saying, well, wait a minute, maybe this ain't the way to go. Trying to claim this, maybe this ain't the way to go. But there was always a strong Pan-Africanist undercurrent. Most of your major black preachers at that time were Pan-Africanists. You're led to believe that the thought of Frederick Douglass, okay, who was an ancestor of mine, you're led to believe that the thought of Frederick Douglass was the dominant ideology. It was not. The dominant ideology was Pan-Africanism. He was outnumbered. Frederick Douglass was outnumbered. And even he, up until he embraced integration full force, said what? Maybe all blacks in America need to immigrate to Haiti and cast out buckets down there. So at one time he even flirted with the idea of Pan-Africanism. So it goes underground. 1914, the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, a descendant of the Maroons of Jamaica, free Africans who never suffered under slavery. This past March, the first week in March, I had the opportunity to go to Jamaica for the first time to pay respects to Mr. Garvey and to Queen Mother Nanny, okay, of the Maroons. Went to her grave site, met some Maroon brothers. They don't pay no taxes. They own the land, the whole nine. Everything's theirs. He took us to Little Nanny Falls. It was a wonderful experience.
got a chance to sit in at a meeting at the People's Political Party, the political organization that Marcus Garvey started once he got back to Jamaica after being deported from America in 1927, okay, with the help of who? A. Philip Randolph, one of your first black homosexuals, and W.E.B. Du Bois. We'll get to that homosexual thing in a minute. Okay, so Garvey shows up, and Garvey starts the UNIA, but it doesn't work in Jamaica. Why doesn't the UNIA work in Jamaica when Garvey first starts it? It doesn't work because in the Caribbean, you have a more complex color hierarchy. Are y'all with me? In America, you black or you white. In the Caribbean, you could be quadroon, octoroon, mulatto. Do y'all follow me? Yeah. There's like 16 different color variations upon which your social status rests. So when Mr. Garvey said all Africans are one people, the first people who jumped out at him was who? The black aristocracy. And these the same people jumping out at us right now.
Check, check.
Yep. Yeah, black aristocracy.
I'm a school psychologist and I can't spell. The black aristocracy jumped out at him. And when we talk about the black aristocracy, we talking about who? The group of elitist blacks that the American social order, the Jamaican social order, the colonial social order, the African social order uses to keep you in your place. Okay, we went over this before, but for those of you who wasn't here, you got 5 families within the black aristocracy. What are the 5 families? Okay, you have the entertainment family, Oprah Winfrey, Jay-Z. These are black people, like Professor Griff said, 200 million or more. Okay, I generally put it at 500 million. Then you have the education family. Who are these? Black people with PhDs, PsyDs, JDs, MDs. Are y'all with me? Okay? These are the education branch. Bourgeois Negro. This is the untalented 10th. They ain't got no talent. We assume that they have talent because they got education from white people. Okay, the untalented 10th. And Du Bois came up with that theory, right? Because he was an elitist. Great man. Very deep thinker, one of our most published authors of all time, pretty much the father of American sociology, the Philadelphia Negro study that he conducted in the 1800s while working as a professor at the University of Pennsylvania was the first major study of a social group in American history of that in-depthness and that insight. Although he got a doctorate in sociology from Harvard, okay, he was still the father of it because he improved upon the study of groups. Psychologists, we study who? Individuals. Sociologists study groups. Criminologists study criminals. Which means they should be studying the government first. You know? So you got the entertainment aristocracy, the educational bourgeois, you got the status bourgeois. Who's the status bourgeois? I'm the superintendent of public schools. I'm the chief of police. I'm the chief of the fire department. Are y'all with me? Okay? I'm a mayor. I'm a city council rep. I'm senior vice president for Nabisco Products. Okay? I'm the marketing director at BET. Negroes with titles. Okay? That's the status. Then we got who? The religious aristocracy. Okay? Professor Griff showed you Eddie Long, kleptomaniac Dollar, T.D. Jakes. Okay? They are in the religious aristocracy. Do you know that T.D. Jakes was George Bush's #1 black minister for his 8 years of presidency? Yes, he said he was his point man in the black community. That's what he said on television. Okay? Using religion, not just Christianity. When I talk about the black church, I'm talking about all black religious institutions, including our indigenous African religious circles. Because they all are guilty of 2 things. Teaching you that you do not have to work your way out of your problem. And be patient. That all you have to do is pray. I'm not criticizing the religion. I don't see anything wrong with them because every instrument is potentially good or negative. It's how you use it. If I put a gun on that table, I can use that to take a life or I can use it to save a life. You can use Christianity, Islam, okay, anything can be used for good or bad. So we got to stop looking at people and saying, you know what, he's automatically bad because he's in that institution. Or she's automatically good because she's in that institution. Take the Masons, okay? By and large, we know that the Masonic order has never been in the best interest of African people. But could it be that you can use a brother who's in the Masonic lodge to help us get somewhere? You see, we got to look for that little bit we can use. Everybody not going to be a straight up sincere freedom fighter. I got to see how I can get as much out of every last one of you, even if you ain't sincere. You see, because you might be that bridge to the next thing. Okay? So you want to study people and don't automatically be put off by the labels, but be put on guard by the labels. Okay? So the religious Negroes, the most powerful, which is also the new FBI, right?
Yeah, that's the truth.
Okay, because George Bush did what? To revolutionize black liberation theology.
Yeah.
He created the faith-based initiative. Now the United States Constitution said there's supposed to be a separation of church and state. So if there's a separation of church and state, how did he find a way to give white churches and black churches and Catholic schools federal dollars? Okay? Because America really ain't run on law, it's run on power. The whole world is run on power. And the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey said what? The reason we're in the condition we in ain't because we black, it's because we haven't developed power. And we don't want to, because we're too lazy. We don't want responsibility for our own destiny. That definition fits what? A slave. So the faith-based initiative has turned black churches into coward colonies. Okay? Turned the black church into a coward colony. 75 years ago, you couldn't find no black minister saying that I accept homosexuals in my church. You couldn't find that 75 years ago. When I was growing up in North Philadelphia, them old head ministers, they wasn't having none of that stuff. If you even walk like you had something wrong with you, they fix you right there on the avenue. Now look at them today. They scared to speak out against homosexuality. Why? Because they're getting that money. Because homosexuality, the identity now is a civil right. So if you discriminate against them and you're getting federal money, they can cut all that right out the way. The church is the new FBI. T.D. Jakes lets Obama know what you're doing when nobody around. Klepto Dollar is letting the FBI know what's going on where you ain't around. The mega churches we got in Philadelphia, do you think they loyal to you or loyal to the social order? They are part of it. Everybody's sitting here today listening to me. Okay, whether you're conscious of it or unconscious of it, are either an agent for your race or an agent for your enemy. No in between.
No in between. That's right. That's right.
No in between. Okay? And as someone who gives assessments to children, numerically, statistically, anybody who chooses not to participate, if a child doesn't answer a question, is that normally counted in the yes column or the no column? The no column. So if you choose not to participate in the liberation, guess what? You automatically, just by default, are a supporter of the enemy. I don't want to talk about all that black stuff. Okay? What's the last family? So we got the entertainment family, we got the education family, okay, we got the status family, we got the religious family, okay, and we got the economic family. Most of your athletes will fall under that. Yeah. Money, okay, we're talking about the economic family. Many of the entertainments and the economics are the same people. Are y'all with me? Okay, so you got entertainment, Tom Joyner, Tavis Smiley, are y'all with me? Oprah and Jay-Z would be in entertainment, but Tom Joyner, he might be. Tavis Smiley, he wouldn't be in the economic family because he ain't break that ceiling yet. Right, Griff? He ain't break the ceiling. You see? So these are the 5 families. So every time you come across an educated Negro, automatically in your mind you got to do what? Give him a diagnosis. Okay, where does he fall? And some of them fall in 2 and 3 of these. And you get special recognition. There's 2 special recognition labels in the black aristocracy. Just like the mafia got 5 major families, the black elites got 5 major families. You get special recommended if you're light skinned, and you get special recommendation if you're homosexual. Okay? I didn't say nothing's wrong with being light skinned. Everybody with me? I'm saying that if you're light skinned and in the aristocracy, they can use you a lot better because white people have an aversion to black skin. So the lighter you are, the more willing they are to do business. Okay, that's all that means. Okay? And then homosexuality. Okay, this actually improves your status. Why does homosexuality improve your status? Because you can use your lust. You can use your lust and your sex, okay, to gain a few extra crumbs from the American social order. Now, how do these people exist? They exist by keeping you down here. Down here at the bottom, you have the masses. This is us. Dumb, deaf, and blind. And whenever the American social order, okay, wants you to believe something, what do? They call on one of these people to come to the neighborhood have a discussion with you, and send your ass back home with no results. Am I wrong?
Right, right.
Okay?
You're right.
Let a riot, let what happened in the United Kingdom kick off over here. The first thing they're going to do is go to the Philadelphia black clergy in vicinity, have a sit down with them, and say, call them into your church, give them a good speech, a good Jesus talk, Muhammad talk, and calm them all down.
Yeah.
And a lot of the Sunni Muslim imams, they in the same boat as the ministers.
Absolutely.
I know, I was raised Muslim. Okay, they will sell you out just like the church ministers, because they all scared of white people. Okay? So right now, black people, stop saying you believe in God, okay, whatever you fashion him or her to be, and at the same time be afraid of white people. It's a contradiction. Whoever you fear is your God. Are you with me?
Yeah.
I believe in God, but I'm afraid of the cops. No, the cops is God. Stop lying to yourself. Okay? Fear is one of the highest acts of respect you can pay anything living. And if you have that for a person, they are your God. Okay? So you have the masses. So something goes on here, they'll get the mega churches. Something go wrong in New York, they call Al Sharpton. And Al Sharpton, of course, he's in a religious. Okay, he could also be in the status family because he's one of Obama's black cabinet, right? So he also got some status there. Tavis Smiley, his conversations he had, he would be in education and entertainment. Tom Joyner, entertainment, possibly economics. But these are the 5 families. And everybody in here in college, I know some of y'all working on getting your master's and your doctorate. Okay, I'll probably be done mine in about 2 months, hopefully. Been long enough. Okay? You got to decide. You got to make a decision. Everybody here got to make a decision. Are you going to join this, or are you going to stay with the masses? Are you going to join the aristocracy, or are you going to stay with the masses? Because they will come after you. I've been approached. I've been approached by the Masons. I've been approached by a lot of people. They will come after you quick. Up and coming, black brother, sister, don't matter what age you are, okay? But you stacking on status now. You stacking on income. You stacking on education. Jay-Z ain't got no degrees, but the money automatically made him relevant because the money was influencing the hood. Okay? Oprah Winfrey, these people, this is Bill Cosby. This is where they at. And people talk about Bill Cosby and the things he had to say. Of course I took issue with what he had to say. Why did I take issue with what he had to say? Because Bill Cosby, being in the entertainment family and the economic family, one of the things that you can always spot or guarantee an aristocracy member to do is do what? Blame the victim for their problem. Are you with me? Whenever you are watching a television and Mayor Nutter is on there, okay, or District Attorney Williams, when they talking about flash mobs and crime, the whole problem is whose fault? Yours. That's what they supposed to do. Deflect responsibility from white people. That's their job. Okay? So you can always spot a member of the aristocracy because soon when they start talking, everything is the fault of you. Okay? The most powerless person is responsible for creation of all these socially engineered problems. You see? Very important that you read. So Bill Cosby said, you know, fathers need to take care of their children. True. We need to clean up the neighborhood. True. We need to make sure our children go to schools. True. But guess what? You didn't put those problems in a context. Are y'all with me? Every problem goes in a context. Let me show you what I mean by the context. Let's take flash mob. Children are running around beating up adults. Flash mobs, right? Automatically you think to yourself, where they parents at? Why they can't find something constructive to do? Because guess what? You're not educated about the background of the problem. We got to put it in what? Context. Now when we put it in context, we can talk about what? The fact that Mayor Nutter and that Negro City Council down there cut the summer job money. Are y'all with me? Y'all cut the summer job money. Y'all cut the summer programs money. Stay with me, y'all. You cut summer programs. Okay? Now, what's another reason why they out there flash mobbing? Most of them come from single parent homes. Why? Because of the mass incarceration of their fathers. So mass incarceration of black men of black men. What else is the flash mob problem related to? Miseducation, Okay? What else is it related to? The fact that black children had the most difficult time of anybody in America to find a summer job or an after-school job. Did you know that? The average job would hire a child who can't speak Spanish before they hire your little brother to work. You see that? So racism, economic racism is in that. Lack of resources in the community. Now let me ask you a question. When they come on and talk about flash mobs for 5 minutes, do they talk about any of the contextual factors? Y'all follow me? You got to put this in context.
Right.
Stop letting the media, which is who? The fifth branch of government. Stop letting the media, which is the fifth branch of government, okay, manipulate your consciousness into having you becoming what? A supporter of the state against your race. A supporter of the state against your race. When I'm in the schools doing my work as a psychologist, it's amazing at the amount of teachers in there who defend the system and blame the children and the parents. When I go to those ridiculous ass meetings, it's all about the mothers are on welfare. The kids don't want to learn. Don't nobody say nothing about the fact that 93% of all public school teachers are white, racist, middle-class women. They don't talk about that. Nobody brought up the fact that you can hardly find a black male teacher anywhere in America. Nobody brought that up. Are y'all with me? Nobody brought up the fact that y'all just cut 75% of the athletic and recreation funding this upcoming year. You think high school dropout was a problem until now? Where do you see September? School District of Philadelphia laid off what, 200 teachers? They're hiring a lot of them back, but it ain't all of them. This is what they doing. So special ed is going to be on the rise, ADHD is going to be on the rise, Ritalin, Adderall, Tetracycline, Zoloft, Paxil, Depakote, Seroquel, it's all going to be on the rise. Okay? Put it in context. Let's do one more of these problems. And the reason I'm doing this, because y'all got to learn how to read. You got to be able to critically analyze the media and what they telling you. You just don't swallow that stuff, because the minute your conscious mind accepts the information, stay with me. Political psychology, the minute your conscious mind accepts something to be true, like the professor was talking about beliefs and faith, the minute your conscious mind accepts something to be true, it is automatically pushed to the unconscious, where it's very difficult to uproot. Did you hear what I just said? Let me give you an example. If you've been raised on white Jesus for 30 years, and you came in here to Black and Nobel and read some of these marvelous books and come to learn, okay, that Jesus Christ, whether he existed or not, regardless, but the original images of him were totally African up until Leonardo da Vinci's, okay, and Michelangelo's Last Supper in Sistine Chapel. But the fact that you now know Jesus is black, and the fact that you now have those images, is that automatically going to change the deep-rooted image you got of a white Christ? Hell no. Because whatever you give the subconscious, it doesn't want to let go of, especially self-hatred.
Going in.
Let's talk about homicide. Let's put that in context. Okay, brothers killing brothers. Black homie. Black homie, black homo is all the same now. Okay? 1 out of every 4 black males get killed by another black man, right? What's wrong with these black people? Are they born this way? Are they born to commit crime? Well, let's see now. Pre-slave era Africa, what was the crime rate outside of war of black men on black men? It was almost non-existent. What about in slavery? What was the homicide rate of black slaves killing other black slaves? Or indigenous Africans killing other indigenous Africans? During Reconstruction, during the Civil Rights Movement. When did this kick? In the 60s and 70s. The same time you repress the black freedom struggle, the same time you start bringing crack in the hood, and the same time they did what? Took out the economic foundation of the community. 50 years ago in Philadelphia, you could still work in your neighborhood. You could go to Bud's, you could go to Tasty Cake. There was factories all around this city, and a brother or sister with a high school diploma could still raise a family. Are y'all with me? And beginning in the 1970s, they stripped us. So we got to talk about the economic stripping of the black community. And what else did they strip when they stripped the factories? At the same time, they stripped what? The high schools of the trade programs.
Yes, they did.
You wonder why you see nothing but white men building buildings in Philadelphia? Okay? Because the building trades is no longer in the schools.
Right.
They took them out. And the member of the Philadelphia School Reform Commission told me personally, she said, Umar, we've been fighting to try to get the trade programs back in the comprehensive high schools, but the white unions won't let us. They want a monopoly on who gets hired. And you know what makes it so sick, black people? What makes it so sick is it's your tax dollars that they get rich off.
Sure.
Those are publicly funded projects.
Yeah.
They're not privately funded projects. They're publicly funded projects. Okay? All these houses they throwing up real quick on the city streets. Look who building them.
Yeah.
Well, they might have a brother there cleaning off the bricks for $100 under the table, so it'll look like they not racist. Put the homicide in context. You brought drugs in. At the same time, you stripped us of an economic right to life. Okay? The mass incarceration. There's no fathers at home, once again. Okay? The miseducation, once again, because if you miseducated, you have no choice but to earn money illegally, whether you stealing cars or stealing credit cards. And there's a lot of brothers and sisters getting hit with heavy time stealing credit cards. Okay? Okay? I ran into a brother, he got 6 months to 2 years for stealing a pack of candy out of Walmart or something like that. That's right, y'all. Don't just think it's drugs. There's all kinds of non-violent offenses. When I go up to Gradford to speak, and when I'm on PIC and CFCF, I go around and speak at all the different prisons. You'd be surprised why brothers in there. You assume that they're in there for murder or dope. A lot of them in there for petty stuff. Stealing and shoplifting. Selling DVDs and CDs. Are y'all with me?
Yeah.
I knew a brother had to do 2 years, a friend of mine, because they caught him with a couple of bootleg CDs, DVDs. And which is a felon, which gave him a second strike. Yes. This is what they're doing to us. So we got to put it in context. The average reading level of a black prisoner in America is what? 3rd grade. Wait a minute now. 3rd? I could probably understand 8th. 3rd. What is that telling us? That means the minute those boys turn 8 and 9 years old, you gave up on them. They got pushed out of school. They didn't drop out. Stop saying we got kids dropping out. They getting pushed out. Do you know that in most high schools in this city and in this country, you can legally drop a child from roll if they haven't showed up a certain amount of days and you ain't got to call nobody?
Right.
Push out. Push out. In Philadelphia, every year, 14,000 students drop out. About another 1,400 are absent every single school day. Look at that, y'all. 3 schools worth of students are not in school. But the problem is us. Why? Because we have enough disposable income to build our children their own schools. Look what's coming up in a couple months. Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Got alone.
And Black Christmas called Kwanzaa. Right? That's coming up.
Yeah.
3 weeks. Black people in Philadelphia going to spend how much money? Take a guess.
Tons.
$3 billion.
Yeah.
Well, it was $3 billion last year.
Yeah.
With the recession.
Yeah.
With the recession, yes. From White Friday, day after Christmas, right?
Yeah.
To the last day of Kwanzaa, Black Christmas, okay? You're going to spend about $3 billion on Christmas gifts. $3 billion. Do you know how many schools you could build for our boys out here with $3 billion? With your Christmas money. We ain't talking about your toenail money. We ain't talking about your rim money. We ain't talking about your vacation money. We talking about your Christmas money, black people. Understand this. The greatest reason why we get no respect in this country is because we the only population of Africans in the world who actually got the disposable income to do something about their situation. Did y'all hear what I just said?
Right.
See, when I was in Jamaica, they don't have the disposable income to do something about their situation. When I was in Ethiopia, one of the poorest nations in the world, although one of the proudest, they don't have the economic situation to do something about their problems. When I'm in South Africa, they don't have that, but you do. But the problem with black people is what? Getting them to use their money for their own self-interest. You have been programmed to use every dollar for the best interest of somebody else. If you don't believe me, look out that damn window. Who owns everything? The damn Italians got a pizza joint over there without a bathroom in it, which is against city code, and they ain't had a bathroom in it for 20 years. Yes, sir.
They're Germans too.
They Germans?
They're Germans.
Ain't got a bathroom store. Not Max and Steaks, the pizza joints.
Kings.
Okay, yeah, King. They German. Ain't got a bathroom in there. It's against city code. But it don't matter because they in your neighborhood. When's the last time you saw license and inspection go in and shake down one of these Chinese stores for health hazards? Has anybody seen them outside? Let you go open up a joint.
They just did that to my man. He opened up a little club.
They was on him, right?
Shut him
Chinese
down.
store right there,
Shut
they
him
won't even
down.
touch it. Look who you give your money to. The problem with us, when we talk about post-traumatic slavery disease, is that we've been psychologically engineered to work against our own best interests. And it's been pushed into your subconscious. So the only way you're going to be able to change that in yourself and us changing in ourselves collectively to do what? Go through a process of psychoanalysis on your own self. The problem with psychoanalysis is what? Your ego does not like to see your faults. Did y'all hear what I said?
Yeah.
Your ego does not like to see its faults. Even you and mine. For you and me. Now let's talk about if you were a black mega leader. You need to go through some self-analysis to see why you ain't doing more than preaching, giving marches, giving out theories, and creating holidays. Your ego doesn't allow you to look at yourself for what you are. You see? The enemy is internal. We keep talking about we need to smash white supremacy and smash the European. How the hell are you going to smash him because he lives inside of you? You got to smash your damn self first. So, we got to put it in context. So, Mr. Garvey gets here when? 1916. March 23rd, I believe it was. He comes to do what? Meet W.E.B. Du Bois. Why? Because he wants to open a Tuskegee Institute in Jamaica. He said, I like this idea. Let me go on over there, talk to Booker T. Washington, so he can show me how to do what he did over here. And we all know Booker T. Washington's story. Many people call him the great accommodationist. I call him the great strategist. Booker T. Washington didn't wear his political thoughts on his sleeve. Nobody told you that Booker T. Washington secretly financed out of his own pocket many of the civil rights struggles of the day. Nobody told you that Booker T. Washington secretly had Pan-African conferences at Tuskegee where he would bring Africans in from around the world and show them how to build community infrastructure.
Yeah.
That's right. He didn't run around like W.E.B. Du Bois yapping his mouth. He kept his mouth shut, but he built for the race. And so W.E.B. Du Bois attacked him and then attacked Garvey after him. Why did Du Bois attack Garvey so much? Because first Frederick Douglass was the leader, right? Uncle Fred. Uncle Fred dies in 1895 after coming back from giving a speech for the women's rights movement. He passed out at his home. Boom, he gone with the ancestors. Booker T. Washington writes a biography of Frederick Douglass. He said he wanted to be just like him. So obviously he's the next in line because he's the sage of Tuskegee, a school that's teaching black people how to make a living on their own without begging from white people. So he's next in line. Du Bois is pissed off. Why is Du Bois pissed off? Because I got a doctorate degree from Harvard. I'm one of the first blacks with a doctorate degree from Harvard. And y'all gonna make a Negro who graduated from Hampton Institute, some ghetto ass school, y'all gonna make him the leading Negro? So what he does, he attacks Booker T. And Booker T says what? He says for all the ranting and raving that W.E.B. Du Bois is doing, he said, can black people eat those books that he published? They said, is he putting anybody to work? Is he showing anybody how to build infrastructure? He said, the minute you show somebody how to build something, how to eat something, how to work somewhere, then I'll give in to you. That was what Booker T said. Practical skill. Practical skill. So then Booker T died. Du Bois said, I finally got the stoplight. Or the green light. I had to wait for Douglass. I had to wait for Booker T. I'm the man. Now some English-speaking, chubby, super dark Jamaican come off the banana boat. No Harvard degree, no nothing. And just get on the corner in New York and say, up you mighty race, you can accomplish what you will and organize as what? Not 1 million, not 2 million, not 3 million, not 4 million, not 5 million, not 6, not 7, not 8, not 9, not 10, 15 million. In the Garvey movement. Never before done, never done since. In the Garvey movement, you had Africans from every continent, in every significant nation or city, every skin color, every religion, and believe it or not, Cuba and Puerto Rico had more divisions in the Caribbean than any place else. South Africa was the most well-organized Garvey stronghold in the world, one of the top ones.
That's right.
Believe it or not, Pennsylvania, Louisiana, North Carolina, South Carolina led America with Garvey divisions and chapters.
Yep.
Yes. Mr. Garvey said, we're not putting a religion on this movement. Some of the Christians said, make it a Christian thing. He said, I'm not doing that. Some of the Muslims said, make it a Muslim thing. He said, I'm not going to do that. Some of the Catholics said, make it a Catholic thing. Marcus Garvey said, no. And they said, why? He said, because black people belong to all different kinds of religions. Right. Why are you going to introduce an unnecessary evil into the equation? Are y'all with me now?
Yeah.
Are y'all with me now?
Yep.
And when you study a lot of the organizations after Garvey, one of the reasons they never hit the millions is because they chose a religion. Garvey said, we don't suffer because we Muslim. We don't suffer because we Christian. We don't suffer because we're not Catholic or Yoruba. We suffer because we are Africans. So stand on that. So Garvey gets here, he begins to build, never taking a penny from another race. One time a white philanthropist wanted to give Mr. Garvey, I think, a sum of $50,000. He told the secretary, take it back. He said, tell them this is a black man's movement. They said, you sure you want to turn that type of money down? He said, yeah. They said, why? He said, because white philanthropy and white hands out is a cancer that erodes black people's self-reliance. That's right. The reason we don't want Europeans amongst us when we organize ain't because we hate nobody. It ain't got nothing to do with that. Politically, it doesn't benefit you because subconsciously you have been conditioned to look to them for leadership. Are you with me? Yep. The minute a white person walks in here and we start passing a bucket because we got to build a corner store to give these children some healthy snacks, okay? If a European comes in here deep down inside, you might not even be conscious of it. You're waiting for them to say, I got the bill. I got the bill. That's why I must be totally African. Furthermore, you got to understand something about white supremacy anyway that we still don't understand. We've been the greatest victims of white supremacy and still don't understand. 3 rules. They do not share power with black people. Right. Okay? Right. They do not believe themselves to be equal with black people. And they don't believe that there's any crime too inhumane to be used to get rid of black people. Is everybody with me? Right. White people don't share power. When the last time a white man came up to you and said, hey, you want to go half on an ice cream stand? You want to go half on a corner store? Every black person I ever know to have went into business with a white person was exploited, used, and dumped off when they was done with them. Yep. They do not share power.
Even some where the black man owned the business at the beginning.
And he got it in the end.
And he got it in the end.
And he got it in the end. And he got it in the end.
Girard College is a perfect
Girard College, perfect example. Built with the money of who? Toussaint L'Ouverture from the Haitian Revolution. Toussaint L'Ouverture had a sum of money. He gave it to Stephen Girard to hold until after the Haitian Revolution. But of course, he tried to strike a deal with the devil, right? He asked Napoleon, can we sit down and talk about this? Maybe we can work this out where this is beneficial, okay, to the French and to Haiti. So Napoleon said, come on down to the water, let's chat. Toussaint L'Ouverture goes on down to the water to chat, and guess what? He gets jumped, arrested, taken to France, he dies in jail. Yep. Stephen Girard relocates to Philadelphia. He's one of the richest white men in Philadelphia, partly because of Toussaint's money. Remember, Haiti was a cash cow island. So Toussaint dies. Guess what this cracker does? He opens up a private boarding school and says only white males can go with black money from Haiti.
Yeah.
In fact, if you've never been to Egypt, go to Girard College on a tour. That's the closest thing you'll get to Kemet in this. Yes, the architecture is impeccable. The architecture is impeccable. Yes, go on a tour to Girard College. Okay, that's a multi-million-dollar facility. It's the exact same architecture of Kemet. Okay, the big colossal coliseums, all that. Go on a march there. And you see with the white folks, the board of directors of Girard College, what are they doing now? Okay, because the school is mostly white, they're trying to cut back on the funding and possibly shut it down. Girard College then integrated to the 60s when who protested? Dr. King and Cecil B. Moore. It was Dr. King and Cecil B. Moore side by side walking around the walls of Girard College. Take care, good brother. And they found a law. They found the city law that said what? You cannot have a segregated institution on city land. And that's what ultimately broke the back and forced Girard College to integrate. But as soon as they integrate, what the white people do with their children? Pull them out. I told you I went to a residential school, Scotland School for Veterans Children. It closed down 2 years ago. It was free as long as your parent was a veteran. My father was a drill instructor for the United States Marine Corps, Camp Lejeune, South Carolina. But guess what? Soon when we started coming up to Scotland from Philadelphia, what the white people do? Pull them out. So for those of y'all who keep moving to the suburbs trying to live the life, whatever the hell that is, forcing your child to deal with racism at an early age, shame on you. It's hard to deal with racism at 37. Are you with me? I don't want my daughter dealing with it at 9 because I want to live the life. Okay? That's that conditioning again. So Garvey gets here. He goes to meet with W.E.B. Du Bois. W.E.B. Du Bois is who? Editor of the Crisis newspaper, the NAACP organ. What did Marcus Garvey say after he met with W.E.B. Du Bois? He said, I went to go speak with the man. And he said, I went in the office and I saw a bunch of black, white people. He said, nobody dark was working in the office. I love W.E.B. Du Bois for the good that he did. I'll never forgive him for what he did to Mr. Garvey. But he was a light-skinned supremacist. Are y'all with me?
Yeah.
He was a light-skinned supremacist. The brother who wrote the Negro anthem, James Weldon Johnson, lift every voice and sing. Did you know he was going to marry a white woman till Marcus Garvey exposed him?
Yeah.
And he changed his mind. Lift every... You see? This is the history. Do you know that the only reason why you have a Council on Foreign Relations today is because of Marcus Garvey. The minute he put forth his Pan-African plan of redemption, the Europeans said, oh hell no, you got a Negro going into Africa trying to reclaim it. We got to do something about that. And so in 1920, thereabout, the CFR was created. Yep. Did you know that white women got the right to vote because of Garvey? Because in the Garvey movement, the UNIA, you had one of your first since slavery. First black female military corps. First black female military corps. Totally unheard of. In the Garvey movement, every chapter had to have a what? A man president and a lady president. It wasn't sister, just stay back there and cook and take notes. Because y'all know, brothers, we still got a lot of sexism in the conscious movement. When we see a sister, she only there to do what? Provide loving, provide cooking, or provide secretarial skills. But we don't expect her to use her brain. That wasn't what it was in the Garvey movement. You had to have a lady president and a man president. The Black Cross Nurses, Universal Female Motor Corps. So when the white man saw that, the white woman went to the white man. And he said, look, you got a Negro giving black women more respect than you giving us. These women got guns, they marching, dressed in military with their own leaders. They don't answer to the brothers, they got their own sisters in charge. They got a lady president in every chapter. We don't have a lady president for the United States. So guess what? They finally gave them the right to vote. Garvey forced that. Yeah. Garvey forced that. Do you know that Ho Chi Minh, the Asian who liberated Vietnam, do you know that he got special permission from Marcus Garvey to sit in the back of his meetings in New York City, and he took notes and he studied Garvey for years, and what did he do? Go back to Vietnam and whipped America's ass and liberated him. Yeah. Adolf Hitler took Garveyism and put racism on top of it. Mussolini took Garveyism and put racism on top of it. In fact, Marcus Garvey sends both of them a telegram. He said, thanks for stealing my whole program and polluting it with your white supremacy. All them study Garvey, but we don't study Garvey. We don't study Garvey. He gave us the Black Star Line and everybody started saying this man is crazy. And the first Black Star Line ship was called the what? SS Frederick Douglass. Okay, ultimately this is what led to Mr. Garvey's downfall, not because he did anything wrong, but because the FBI, and y'all all know that J. Edgar Hoover got his start on destroying the Garvey movement. And the first black full-time FBI agent, who was Agent 800, was hired to infiltrate the Garvey movement. Hoover got his start, and the first black agent to destroy Mr. Garvey. It was black agents who gave Mr. Garvey bad advice on purchasing the ships that he bought. That's right. Now some people say that the Black Star Line was a total failure. That's not true. No, the Black Star Line, those ships operated. They transported crops and goods for Africans from the Caribbean to up here. They got you thinking, oh, he put ships on the water, they felt that was that. No, they was operable for years. A lot of commerce was done through the Black Star Line. Study the economics of it. And people say, what we need ships for? What we need ships for? 90% of everything you wear, you eat, you use, comes to you by ship. Did you know that? Shipping is the future. That's why so much talk about pirates. Shipping is the future. And we ain't got a black ship nowhere talking about something we free. You can't ship nothing nowhere. No distribution. If this brother got a product he want to sell, and Taj got a product he want to sell, and I got a product I want to sell, you know who I got to go to? Shoes. I want it packaged. I want it advertised. I want it assured. And I want it guaranteed that it's going to be in Ethiopia, Jamaica, Brazil, and Los Angeles on the same day. Are y'all with me? In order to do that, I need planes, I need ships, I need helicopters, I need trains, I need Mack trucks. Are y'all with me? I need submarines. What do we got? A scooter.
Yep. Squeaky wheels.
90% of everything you use come by ship. Mr. Garvey was a visionary. Mr. Garvey was a visionary. And then he opened the Negro World newspaper. That broke the back. The Negro World came before Black Star Line. And the Negro World paper was so feared by the European powers who was colonizing Africa that if you got caught with a copy of the Garvey paper, you either go to jail for the rest of your life or you get killed. Death for reading that man's paper. Now the significance of Garvey, you got to put it in context. Okay? We talking 1914, slavery didn't end until 1865. So here's a black man about 40 years after slavery talking about not only can we do it, we can do it for ourselves. Scared the hell out of white people. They said Frederick Douglass didn't talk like that. Booker T. Washington didn't talk like that. W.E.B. Du Bois damn sure didn't talk like that. But Garvey talked like that. His mother named him Moses, Marcus Messiah Garvey, because she had a vision that he would lead his people out of freedom, which is what he attempted to do. UNIA was started 1 year after the death of the female Moses, whose name was Queen Mother Harriet Tubman, who died in 1913. You see? But one of the reasons why Garvey had that revolutionary spirit is because when you study slavery in the Caribbean, you will find that there was a little bit more revolution there than here, only because it was the first drop-off. Are you with me? The Caribbean was the seasoning place. So you getting the raw African. You getting the brother who wants to be free because he was free yesterday. The ones who got shipped up here was the seasoned Negro with MSG in them. Okay? They were already broke. But once in a while, a couple of them snuck through. Okay? That's all that's about. And sometimes the brothers in the Caribbean say, yeah, we more revolutionary than y'all. Not so. It's just a circumstance in history, as Dr. John Henry Clark points out. Okay? You just the first stop. So naturally, I'm going to fight here. The chicken going to fight when he first get caught. By the time he done been homogenized and pasteurized, he don't even know he is no more. Okay? So the Negro World came. Then they had the Negro Factories Corporation. The Negro Factories Corp. Did you know that Marcus Garvey had 2 universities? Yep. He had the Universal Liberty University in Virginia and Booker T. Washington University in New York City. He had schools. Right before he got deported, he was working on the Central Black Bank.
Yep.
Yes. Marcus Garvey was the first leader to do what? Petition a League of Nations, because it wasn't the UN yet, because the Rockefellers ain't give the grant for the land for the UN to be bought. The UN ain't nothing but a Rockefeller club. Okay? Marcus Garvey did what? He sent commissioners to go meet with the League of Nations and say, guess what? Those colonies in Africa, they need to be turned back over to African people. The problem was you had Africans saying the same damn thing. When the ANC was founded, Nelson Mandela's ANC, you know there was a split in the ANC because there was Garveyites who said we're not going to work with the white liberal socialists. And then you had the ANC people who said we need to work with the white people. The ANC was not really a nationalist organization. You got to study it. They kicked the Garveyite people out, but they still kept some of the colors on the flag. Yeah. Okay? But they split over that. South Africa, it was Garveyites who participated in all of those riots and walkouts and stuff that they had in South Africa. Okay, Kwame Nkrumah, we know he came here, went back to Africa, liberated, and said the philosophy and opinions of Marcus Garvey was the most influential book that he had ever read. And when Ghana finally got its independence in 1957, he sent for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., he sent for Amy Jakes Garvey, Amy Ashwood Garvey, and all the Pan-Africanists from the West went on over there. Now, I wouldn't classify Dr. King as a Pan-Africanist, but when you study a lot of what he did, you can see that he was intimately affiliated with the workings of what was going on in Africa. You know what I think he did? I think he was strategic. And I think Dr. King said, look, if I push that Garvey piece, I'll get nowhere. So let me just focus on this little bit here and let Malcolm do that. Okay? And you know that a week before Malcolm was killed, Coretta Scott King and Malcolm met while Dr. King was in jail, and they was going to join forces, and Malcolm was going to lead the North, and Dr. King was going to lead the South. And one of the agents told J. Edgar Hoover, he said, "To hell with this." Malcolm was going in 7 days. For the first time, two black leaders was going to put aside their petty differences and come together, y'all. Frederick Douglass and Martin Delany couldn't do it. Jesse and Farrakhan couldn't do it. Tavis and Sharpton, well, they're not legit anyway. But King and Malcolm, they were going to be the first ones to actually do it. Imagine where we would be. But let me share this with you, black people. We got to stop looking for a single black leader. Stop that. Stop that. You make him, you make him, you make me the single black leader. Ain't but two things going to happen. You're going to get killed or you're going to be paid off. Killed or corrupted. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Every single black leader, you get killed or you get corrupted. That's it. What we need is leadership.
Yes.
A headless leadership, so they don't know who calling the damn shot. So you kill one, you kill two, you wasting your time because it ain't got no head, we all the head. Black people don't need a leader. You know what we need? People who gonna do the work. What do we call them? Organizers. Are y'all with me? All due respect to Minister Farrakhan, we don't need you leading, we need you organizing. Reverend Sharpton, no more leading, cut the perm off, we need you to organize. Tavis, no more leading, we need you to organize. But to organize requires what? Going door to door, face to face, dealing with your own people. And unfortunately, the only people who feel like doing that is the Jehovah's Witnesses. I had a discussion the other night with some brothers. They said, "Brother Umar, why you think people not coming out to the different events?" I said, because y'all have allowed this social media, okay? You've allowed this social media to distance you from your people. If you want me to come somewhere, you don't send me no Facebook message. I want to see you when I come out my house with a flyer in your damn hand, introducing yourself to me. "How you doing, Queen Mother? My name is Brother Umar. We having a meeting at Black and Nobel. If you would be so kind as to stop through." Okay? And I'm hoping you do because we got to organize ourselves. Now she got a face. Somebody greeted her. Are y'all with me? You don't see the Jehovah's Witnesses with no damn Facebook page. You don't see them with no MySpace account. They are in your face. We have gotten lazy. We have gotten lazy. We want to send out an email, and because everybody's name is on the email, everybody's supposed to show the hell up. That is so impersonal. Dr. Martin Luther King prophesied that. He said, "I'm afraid that this technological revolution is going to make enemies amongst my people." Dr. Martin Luther King said that back in the 60s. So the boy, with his jealous ass self, goes to the United States government and asks the United States government to give him a fleet of ships so he can compete with Garvey's Black Star Line. What kind of Negro is that? Will you give me some ships so I can compete with his ships? He didn't stop there. Marcus Garvey finally made headway in Liberia. Liberia had agreed to give the UNIA dozens of acres of land. And guess what the UNIA did? They took them up on their offer. They sent ships full of black men, engineers, architects, electricians, plumbers. They wasn't playing. They wasn't playing. He sent construction equipment and money over there. And guess what happened? Soon when they get to Liberia, after that long ass ship ride, guess what they're told? "We don't want you anymore." Guess who messed it up? The U.S. government sent W.E.B. Du Bois over there before Garvey got there to mess up the whole Liberian nation plan. Yeah. See, when we talk about our heroes, we got to talk about the sum total of our heroes. Are y'all with me?
Yes, sir.
Because I'm getting tired of people talking about Du Bois, but they don't talk about how he played and hated on Garvey. We can respect the good, but give him both sides. A. Philip Randolph, but we don't talk about how he hated on Garvey. Yes, sir. And then you know the socialists and the communists tried to infiltrate Garvey. They said, "You got it all wrong. The problem ain't racism. The problem is capitalism." And Marcus Garvey says, "You got it all wrong." So they used to challenge Marcus Garvey to debates in his own UNIA meetings. They said, "Let us come and debate you." And Marcus Garvey would accept their request, and he would debate the white communists and the white socialists and the black communists and the black socialists, winning every debate, proving that this is a race-first movement, not no damn socialism, which you got from Karl Marx, who was a racist German Jew, who wasn't even a member of the proletariat his damn self. He came from a bourgeois family, writing for revolution. You got to study this, black people. The people said, "Well, look at Mao Zedong. Mao Zedong was a socialist. He liberated China. Mao Zedong was a damn Chinese nationalist. He might have used socialist principles, but he did what he did for Chinese people. He didn't do what he did for black people." But we got to take it. We can study him, and we can study all these leaders. Look at what he did. Look at Hitler's propaganda campaign that he copied from Garvey. He captured the Germans with propaganda, big flags and fancy uniforms. He took it from Garvey. Okay. Very important that we recognize that. Okay, very important. Look at Mao Zedong. What did Mao Zedong do to get the minds back of his people? He shut the borders of China down. Ain't nobody leaving here. Ain't nobody leaving here. He had a meeting with the artists. Listen to this. Mao Zedong was a genius. He had a meeting with the artists, the writers and the painters, and he said, guess what? For the next 25 years, I don't want to see no Tyler Perry shit. I don't want to see no Spook Lee. Are y'all listening to me? I don't want to see no Little Weezy videos or none of that shit. For the next 25 years, every book you write and every piece of artwork better be empowering to Chinese people. And look at where Chinese people are today.
Yes, around the world.
Look where they at today. Yes, he shut the borders down. He didn't say we're going to go beg for a loan from the World Bank. He didn't say we're going to go beg for a loan from the International Monetary Fund. He said, hell no, we're going to do it ourselves. And you got Chinese people talking about something. He was a bad ruler. Because like Idi Amin, he found all the traitors he could find, put them in the corner, and executed them. Now don't get me wrong, I'm no killer. I never took a life a day in my life, but I understand why he did what he did. Because if he did not get rid of the player haters in his country, China wouldn't be where it is now. Idi Amin did the same thing. And they trying to paint Idi Amin to you like he was some kind of great black monster. Well, hell, compared to the amount of lives that the United States of America kill on a daily basis, Idi Amin is an angel.
Isn't that right?
One thing I can say about Idi Amin, I might not support everything he did, but two things. Number one, he was a Pan-Africanist. And number two, if you came to visit Uganda and you was a member of another race, you had to bow down on your knees. On your knees. Get a book on Idi Amin. When them white folks would come, he'd make them get on their knees and bow to the Pharaoh. He was not afraid of. You see what he did with the Indians? He said, you know what? Y'all run the whole economy in my country. Y'all run the whole economy in my country. Get the hell out and kick them all out. What black leader you know got them type of guts? I didn't say he didn't make mistakes. Everybody going to make mistakes. He wasn't perfect. But I'm going to tell you one thing. Idi Amin was not scared of white people.
It didn't play.
It didn't play. That's the type of leadership we need today. Okay? So, Garvey, the UNIA division was where? In Jamaica. He moved it to New York. When he moved the UNIA from Jamaica to New York as a headquarters, that started the first split. Jamaica said, how you going to move headquarters from Jamaica to New York? The UNIA was founded here. New York Garvey said, nah, it belongs over here. That was the first split in the UNIA. There will be about 3 or 4 more. The UNIA is currently split right now. There's a UNIA ACL, August 1929 of the world, which is the official UNIA. And then there's a UNIA Incorporated, which came from the earlier splinter from New York. The UNIA's convention is taking place right now at 1609 Cecil B. Moore. Y'all might want to go down there. I think they're having their meetings at the Songhai Center at 31st and Oxford. The UNIA is still here. Not what it was, though. After Garvey was deported, it was never what it was again. And Garvey's deportation spelled the end of Pan-Africanism over here until who? Until Malcolm was split with the nation. Okay, but we would only get it for a year because then he would be taken out. Okay? They don't want you to think Pan-African. They want you to think black nationalism. Pan-Africanism is not black nationalism. A black nationalist is only concerned about black people here. Limited. And trying to do something here. A Pan-Africanist has a global consciousness. Are y'all with me? Yeah. And why do we have a global consciousness? Because we recognize that, guess what? We're fighting global white supremacy. Not American white supremacy, not British, not French white supremacy. They, all white people, are united against us. You see? So it makes no sense for me, okay, to be trying to put out a fire in my house when everybody's house got the same damn fire. Why don't we all pick up the hose together and fix this thing once and for all? All right. All Pan-Africanism says is what? The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. That's right. It. Marcus Garvey said that we are a race that's cursed with petty differences. That's why we ain't got no Pan-Africanism. Because we want to fight. The differences ain't the problem. The problem is we use them to fight each other. Turn on YouTube. Niggas fighting all day.
All day.
All day long. In the name of consciousness. No, nigga, use a thug. You just use a consciousness as your cover.
Yeah, disgrace.
Are y'all with me?
Yeah.
That's why I don't even do debates. There's no benefit to it. It's nothing but an ego clash.
You got that right.
Okay, we don't need to be debating, we need dialogue.
Right.
You see things different than me, okay, but where can we agree at? That's what I'm looking for. Where can we draw that line? That's it. What do we agree on? Last time I checked, whether you a nationalist or a socialist or an integrationist, my Hebrew brothers, my Moorish brothers, don't all our people need food?
Yep.
Don't all our people need shelter?
Yep.
Don't they all need jobs? They all
Yep.
need resources? They all
Yep.
need a damn decent education?
Yep.
Ain't nothing to fight over. So that means what? If you're fighting, it's only because you don't feel like working. Did y'all hear what I said? I remember Dale Jones, before he passed away, the great Dale Jones of Know Thyself Bookstore, he said the problem with the new class of scholars, the young up-and-coming brothers, he said they all want to be professional ideologues for the rest of their life and don't build a damn thing.
Yeah.
That's what he said. He said, oh, y'all masters of information. That's what he said. Y'all know all the books and all the theories, but what have you built? Do you even make toothpicks, nigga? Are y'all listening to me? They go back to Du Bois and Booker T. Booker T said, I'm teaching people how to grow food so they can eat. What do you do, W.E.B., besides write books? Then we got to start holding our scholars accountable, black people, because they're getting away with millions, okay? And we do nothing but let them come and teach us some damn Egyptology. And they getting rich and we ain't asking for no money back. Are you crazy? You work at a white college, live in a white neighborhood, send your kids to white schools, and you love black people. Yeah, right. You can be bourgeois and be an Egyptologist. We got to wake up, y'all. They belong to that family I had over there, the education family. Bougie Egyptologists. Them same Negroes who be studying Egypt, if you said it's time to go back home and build, they're not going. They're not going. Give up TGI Fridays, is you crazy? Starbucks, nigga, you crazy. I'm not going nowhere. So finally, as I bring this to a close,
Yes.
Marcus Garvey was charged with using the U.S. mails to defraud. The prosecutor came into the courtroom with a what? An empty envelope. I hope y'all listen to this, so when people are talking about Marcus Garvey was a criminal. An empty envelope. And he said, in this envelope was a flyer that Marcus Garvey sent to this black man named Benny Dancy, saying that he was advertising for stock sales in a Black Star Line ship that he did not own yet. Marcus Garvey said, show me what I mailed that man. I don't even know the man. Never seen him a day in my damn life, and the man is claiming to be an employer of the Black Star Line. He went to jail for an empty envelope, y'all. His lawyer, who was a white man, said that I've never seen a black person or any person get treated with that type of contempt in American courts before. This man went to jail for 3 years for an empty envelope. He goes back to Jamaica, stays for a couple years, then he goes over to England. He revives the UNIA. A lot of people don't know this, but he met with a lot of the Pan-African independence fighters when they was young children. Okay, Jomo Kenyatta of Kenya used to go and watch Mr. Garvey speak. He used to have secret meetings with them. He used to fund the different movements on the continent secretly. It was Garveyism that liberated Africa. It was Garveyism that liberated Africa. June 10th, that's when he died. That's when he died, and it wouldn't be until 25 years later, look at that. It would be the 25 years later, almost to the dot, that Malcolm would pick it back up. Malcolm Little, whose mother was a Garveyite, whose father, Earl Little, was a Garveyite. Earl Little was actually killed by the Ku Klux Klan because he wouldn't stop teaching Garveyism and organizing. Malcolm X's mother used to write poetry for the Negro World newspaper. Malcolm X's brothers and sisters said one of the reasons why they joined the Nation of Islam and introduced Malcolm to the Nation of Islam because it was the closest thing that they could find to Garveyism.
Yeah.
Okay? And when you study early Nation of Islam history, you'll find that the first meetings of the Nation of Islam were held at the UNIA Liberty Hall, and a man by the name of Elijah Poole, who was a captain in the Universal African Legion in Detroit and Chicago, would change his name to Elijah Muhammad and start the Nation of Islam with Master Farad Muhammad. That's documented. Read Marcus Garvey, Foot Soldiers of the UNIA. It's also documented by the sons of Marcus Garvey, Dr. Marcus Garvey Jr. and Dr. Julius Garvey, who I was with last night in Fort Lauderdale. Yes, indeed. There's pictures. In fact, in Marcus Garvey, Foot Soldiers, Papa Zamti, who was Marcus Garvey's personal secretary, He recruited Elijah into the Nation of Islam. You hear the whole story, read the book. And that's no slight on Mr. Muhammad, because everybody come from somebody. Everybody come from somebody. Okay? You done seen all the people who Garveyism came from. Okay? But that's why when you look at the structure of the Nation of Islam is structured identically like the UNIA. Except they put Islam on it, which is something Garvey wouldn't do. Okay? They have the MGT. Garvey had the Black Cross nurses. They dressed in the exact same uniform. They got the Nation of Islam. Marcus Garvey had the Universal African Legion. They had the Islamic University. Marcus Garvey had the Booker T University. Mr. Muhammad wrote Message to the Black Man. Marcus Garvey had a magazine called The Black Man. No disrespect. It's just history. Okay? All of the leaders, except Noble Drew, because he was in existence before the UNIA came to America. But him and Mr. Garvey were pretty good allies. Okay, you see them together a lot. Okay, they work together. Okay, now Mr. Garvey was never a Moor though, but they did respect each other and they did work together. Okay, now Malcolm would come in '64 and he would do what after his split? He goes to Africa, and Spike Lee did a terrible job with the movie because you don't get no Pan-African Malcolm in the whole 3.5 hours. Are y'all with me on that? First of all, you spent the first half of the movie talking about Malcolm the Pimp. Zoot suits. I said, damn, how long is this going to be zoot suits? You see that?
He could have wrapped that up in 5 minutes.
He could have wrapped it up in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But again, look who gave him the money to do the movie. The Jews. Okay? You see that? That's the publishing houses. Why you think you ain't never seen a true movie on the Garvey movement, a true movie on the Moorish Science Temples? You ain't seen a true movie on the Panthers? You ain't seen a true movie on the Nation? You ain't seen a true movie on Nat Turner, the Haitian Revolution, slavery? You ain't seen a true movie on any of your true stories. You know why? Because they might wake your ass up. I'm dead serious. The United States government has a committee in Congress that approves every movie. That approves every movie that Hollywood puts out. They approve Tyler Perry. They approve that. I heard the Hughes brothers are working on a movie on slavery where they're going to show how the African kings sold their own people. Look at that. You see that? Now, if you want to show a piece of that, I ain't got a problem with that because that did happen. But that's not the primary reason for why 100 million got snatched up. It's because y'all came in with guns. You understand that? But then he can't say that. He got to blame the victim for it. Movies are totally political. Birth of a Nation, the first motion picture. I'm sure they got a copy here, Black and Nobel. You got to watch that. Woodrow Wilson, I believe it was, who was president at the time, had a live screening of the most racist movie ever made in the first motion picture in the White House. Yeah. Bring that in here. I want to see it live on my big screen. Birth of a Nation. First motion picture. The movies have always been used to do what? Kill the image of the African. And why is it so important that Hollywood kills the image of the African? Because Hollywood ain't nothing but another media house. Are y'all with me? The reason why it's important to kill the image is because you can't kill the body unless you kill the image, because if you attempt to kill a people whose image has not been demeaned in the eyes of other people, you might get backlash. Adolf Hitler, before he killed the Jews, he had a what? Propagation campaign. Showing how they need to be gone. How they no good to nobody. How they this, how they that. And then after he exterminated the image, then you move in. The problem with black people is what? We participating in the image assassination. Yep. That's true. Menace to society. Boys in the hood. Don't stop drinking your juice in South Central. What kind of Negro flick was that? Look at the movies we make. Dead Presidents. And Spike Lee, Miracle at St. Anna's. Did you see that? Yeah. About the 5 black brothers who was in love with the same white prostitute and fought over her like the whole movie. Look at this stuff, y'all. Zip Coon. Tyler Perry's genius, his Negro genius is what? As ridiculous as it is he took images from the 1800s and reinvented them. He bring you back the mammy, the uncle, the Sambo, the pickaninny. Are y'all with me? He went back into slavery and pulled them out and cleaned them up and gave them back to you. And now look at us. We thought Color Purple was bad. We thought Waiting to Exhale was bad. Okay, look at what we got now. Did anybody see Precious? God damn. What was that? Y'all almost walked out the joint. I said, I don't need to see this in no damn movie. I hear about this in public school every day. Why are you showing the worst of our race to people? What did Marcus Garvey say about but we didn't have black movie producers. But what did Marcus Garvey say about the black media? His biggest problem with the black media was what? They were willing to depict black people in negative imagery and only give negative information about black crimes and stuff as long as they was getting a check. Don't we do the same thing today? You ever open up Ebony or Essence? Then what you got in there? Homosexual right advertisements, light skin bleaching advertisements. You know, Madam C.J. Walker, Marcus Garvey was good friends. You know that, right? But Marcus, she wanted to advertise in the Negro world. And Marcus Garvey said, respectfully, good sister, I cannot sell that shit in my paper. Okay? I respect what you're doing. You give money to the UNIA. You give money to other causes. I like the fact that you're race conscious. Okay? But the fact that you're making your money off teaching black people how to look white, I can't approve. Garvey told Madam C.J. Walker that. You got to study these things with people. You got to study these things. So, June 10th, 1940, Marcus Garvey dies. Malcolm comes. Malcolm meets with all the heads of the African states. He came back to start the what? OAAU, Organization of Afro-American Unity, which was separate from Muslim Mosque Incorporated.
Yep.
Focus on this for a minute. You know why? Because Malcolm was the first leader since Garvey who had the common sense, or should I say the vision, to keep the religion separate from the politics. Are y'all with me?
Right, yep.
He got this from his Garvey teacher as a child. Okay? If you don't believe me, read Garvey's Children. That's another book y'all need to read. You need to read Foot Soldiers of the UNIA, and you need to read Garvey's Children. There's two books Hockey got to get up in here. Okay, Garvey's Children, Malcolm X talks about life as a Garveyite child. There's a myth going around that Malcolm X forgot that his parents was Pan-African, that he don't know what Garveyism is, that he wouldn't find about Garveyism until, you know, he would meet the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. No, Mr. Muhammad would reintroduce him to it, because he used to be a Garveyite himself. Okay? And Minister Farrakhan, his family was largely Garveyites. In fact, he wrote a letter to the UNIA. He was the keynote speaker one year. I'm sorry, Dr. Khalid Abdul-Muhammad was the keynote speaker. I think Minister Farrakhan was too. And Minister Farrakhan wrote a letter for the Centennial Convention of the UNIA, Marcus Garvey's Centennial, 1987. I have a copy. And Minister Farrakhan says in here that when I was young, because I believe he's from, where's he from, Trinidad?
Yeah, he's Islander.
Okay, he's an islander, I forget the island, but he said, when I was a child, I went over my uncle's house, and I'm paraphrasing, and he said, on the wall I saw a picture of Marcus Garvey, and he said, I saw Marcus Garvey. Everybody looking at you like, what you doing there?
Oh, somebody's calling from California, and he was actually looking at your YouTube clip that you did here a few years ago. Just same frequency, quantum, calling from California. I told him I put him on speaker so he can hear the rest of the lecture.
I'm gonna be in California.
You there, brother?
December 3rd. Is he in LA?
Are you there?
I can't hear LA.
I'm not. I'm on the phone. I'm not in Los Angeles. I actually live in Pomona, California.
Pomona.
Pomona.
This just happened to call. Excuse me.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
I can't hear you too well. Say that one more time.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, where was I at? I got ADHD. What was I saying? For that man on the wall, and it was Marcus Garvey. He said my uncle told me that Marcus Garvey was dead, and he said he cried or it hurt him, and he said years later he would meet the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who would reintroduce him to Marcus Garvey. But Minister Farrakhan wanted to follow Garvey. That's his words. I got the letter. Okay, that's right. And I'm only saying this, okay, because Pan-Africanism is the only way out of this nonsense. Okay, America gonna fall, black people. The question is, are you gonna fall with him? Do you think your slave master is that godlike that he can't lose? Look at his economy right now. Do you not see the Chinese man waiting in the clutches right now for Babylon to drop? He waiting. And all we want to do is keep doing what? Studying what happened 5,000 years ago. They'll give you that shit. That's all y'all want. Y'all don't want nothing now, and you don't want nothing tomorrow. You just want to make sure we know y'all built Egypt. Okay, now what? So the black man owns the past, the white man owns the present, and the Chinese man owns tomorrow. Yes, our children need to be taught their history, but history alone ain't gonna fix the problem. Are y'all with me? You can get them black history all damn day. It ain't enough. You know why it ain't enough? Because the child wants to understand why you're telling me about greatness, but you ain't greatness.
Exactly.
Okay. Well.
You keep telling me how we built the University of Salamanca in Spain, but you working at a white university. You keep telling me that we built the University of Mystery Systems in Kemet in the Nile Valley, but you working at a white one. Like, I'm not understanding. Are y'all with me?
Yeah.
Put yourself in the head of a child. You mean to tell me that the last great thing we did was 5,000 years ago? Damn, maybe we ain't too great. Talk to me, you good? So, as I bring this to a close, here's the solution.
The clothes? Oh, man.
To be a Pan-Africanist, you don't have to give up your religion because it's a political thing. You ain't got to give up your political ideology. Pan-Africanism is an addition to anything else that you do. It is not a this or a that. Please understand. It's simply saying that you have the common sense to understand that black people in this economy gross nearly $1 trillion worth of spending power every single damn year. And if we take the disposable income, even with the economic recession, if we take the disposable income and invest it into the resources in Africa, then our people, wherever we are, will become the next world superpower overnight. Are you with me?
Yeah.
That's what it's about. Europe is only Europe because of what's in Africa's soil. America is only America because of what's in Africa's soil. Why in the hell do we want to give up the richest continent on earth to be a part of somebody's country? It makes no sense. And then there's another myth going around saying they don't want us in Africa. Oh, really? I've been to Africa 3 times. 2005, I went to Ethiopia, South Africa, Nigeria, and Senegal. I spent a week in each one. I went as Minister of Education for the UNIA ACL. Okay? And the friends that I got in Africa now, I met the first time I went to Africa. And they call me once a month to check on me and see how I'm doing and see when I'm coming back. And when I go to Africa, I ain't got to worry about where I sleep, how I get around, or how to eat.
Right.
Talking about, no, I'm gonna tell you what they don't want, a Negro coming over there.
Right.
Are y'all with me? Somebody who's gonna look down on African people. Because when you study Pan-Africanism in the 1800s, you'll see that we went back to Liberia, and you'll see we went back to Sierra Leone, and what did we do when we get there? We treated the native Africans like we were white people. So yeah, it is a natural distrust because you've been socially engineered to self-destruct. So they got to be a little careful. But the issue ain't Africans not wanting black people. The issue is Africans not wanting black people who not conscious.
Right.
If you conscious, it don't matter. When I went to Africa, sure, I ran into a brother or two who gave me the look like, why you here? But he wasn't conscious. But for the Pan-Africans over there, they embraced me and continue to embrace me. In fact, some of my Nigerian brothers are in Europe, and I'm supposed to go to Europe in a couple months to go and do a Pan-African lecture over there. It's time to come together. Jamaica got a link with Black America. Black America got a link with the blacks in London. The blacks in London got the link with the continent. The Arabs are doing it. They Pan-Arabic. The Jews are Pan this. The Europeans are Pan. Why can't we be all? That's all the word means, is all. Everybody under one umbrella looking out for the collective. Stop this Black American stuff. I'm more American than I am black. Says who? When a white man see you coming down the street, do we see a Negro or do we see an American?
Negro. A nigger.
So in wrapping this up, and I'm a little tired, y'all, because I'm fasting, so I ain't my regular energy. I'm probably like, here. And I just got off a flight today. I was down in Florida with the Bobo Shanti Rastafari celebrating Marcus Garvey's birthday with his son, Dr. Julius Garvey. For those of y'all who got family in Virginia, I'll be speaking at the Happily Natural Day, which is put on by Brother Manifest, who's a member of the UNIA in Virginia. It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday event. I'll be speaking Saturday night. And then the next day, I'll be in Goldsboro, North Carolina at the Herman Peck Center this coming Sunday, the 28th from 1 to 5. I will be at the African Poetry Theater in Queens the second weekend in November. There's a Nat Turner Insurrection Conference. Myself, Dr. Leonard Jeffries, Kamal Cambone, who's a psychologist from North Carolina. We're going to be in a panel discussion. That's actually on that Sunday, the second Sunday in November. The day before at Langston Hughes Library in Queens, there's a Nat Turner play. There's a Nat Turner play that they're going to put on. So if you can make it down on that Saturday, that'll be good. What else I got coming up? I'm going to be in Baltimore the Queens thing is the second week in November. I'll be in Baltimore the second week in October. I'll be in Texas the second week in October as well. On Saturday and the Sunday, I'll be up in Boston in February, and I'll be in Austin again in February. But if you need my schedule, my website is being developed. You can just email me, I bought a couple of my DVDs. I sold out, so I ran home and tried to make some stuff. I didn't make much, but we got the Psychoacademic War Against Black Boys, Part 1. That's the interview with me with a white suit and a white tie, being interviewed by Brother Dawa in Chicago. Okay, I have Baby Mama Drama Part 2 television show. That was actually a television show that was done here in Philadelphia. I'm like the Dr. Phil of the joint. It's real professional. Real black baby moms, real black baby dads, and we helping them fix their drama over their kids. Okay, we got For Sisters Only, Relationships and Dating. That's a lecture I did at the Brownsville Rec Center in Black History Month. It's 3 hours long. We was able to squeeze it on one disc. That's for black women only, all about how relationships tend not to work because of your own internal unsolved issues. Relationship with your dad. I brought 2 new ones, Live at the Grave of Frederick Douglass. 3 weeks ago, I was in Rochester, New York, where Frederick Douglass is buried, and I had a chance to give a lecture inside the Frederick Douglass Resource Center. I also went to the grave of Frederick Douglass and poured libations to all my ancestors, and that's all on film. It's a double DVD. And the last one is I was in the Audubon Ballroom where Malcolm was killed last month, and we did a Ballad or the Bullet Part 2. It's a double DVD, very popular piece on YouTube right now. So whether they double or single, they all $10. Make sure you get my card, especially those of y'all who have children. If anybody's trying to put your child in special education and you don't think they belong there, you need to holler at me with an email. They telling you your son got ADHD, you need to holler at me. They trying to put him on some drugs, you need to holler at me, because remember, ADHD does not stand for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. It really stands for Absence of My Daddy from My Home Disorder. And for my sisters in here, okay, if you are carrying a baby or if you want to start breastfeeding the child, okay, make sure you don't give your child baby formula. Depakote, which is one of the most powerful antipsychotic medicines that are given to schizophrenic patients, is made by a company named Abbott Laboratories. Abbott Laboratories not only makes Depakote, a powerful antipsychotic, it also makes Similac, your baby's drinking milk. So do you know what that means? When the infant is crying after you feed the baby, and they still want the bottle, and they still want the bottle, you know what's going on? They not hungry, they high, and they trying to get a fix. Similac is liquid crack. That's why we seeing so many black infants weighing 100 pounds. You see some of these 3-month-old babies? Yeah. They look like the Michelin tire man, right? Yeah. Okay? It's because we feeding them to death because we think that they want to eat, but they just need that next fix. So they giving the infants Similac crack. They're giving the school-age kids Ritalin, Strattera, Cycler. All of these drugs are same as the illegal drugs, no difference. Ritalin is the exact same thing as street speed, no difference. Methylphenidate, the Drug Enforcement Agency of the United States government classifies Ritalin as a Schedule II drug, which means it's just as addictive as crack cocaine. It kills brain cells, it can cause immediate heart arrest, it can cause stroke on contact, instant death, and mess with kidney, liver function, and most importantly, from a eugenic standpoint, Ritalin erodes the black boy's ability to produce healthy semen in his testicles. So when he's old enough to have children, he won't be able to. Thank you for your time. Race first.